Hello everyone, I'm Zeki from QWorld and QTurkey, and I want to thank the previous presenters for their rather beautiful presentations. And I, today I will talk about a series of quantum game hackathons that we organized in Turkey called Koyun. Which is a pun because koyun in Turkish means sheep, and the logos for our games were like these black sheeps. And these quantum games were organized by QTurkey, QWorld. Our main sponsor for both of them were Monster Gaming Lab, which is a company from Turkey that is developing gaming laptops. And currently we are part of this Quantum Technologies Education for Everyone pilot group under Quantum Flagship. So the story of organizing quantum games, quantum game hackathons for us started with our first attempt at a hackathon, which was an on-site event in 2019. If I remember it correctly, it was December, and it was called Quantum Programming Applications Hackathon, and we expected people to do whatever they want. Basically, it was an educational opportunity for people to develop their projects with like-minded people, and it was organized in Ankara with the help of my university, METÜ. It was from the Technokent, or I don't know the exact term, Technopolis, no, something like that. And it was our only on-site hackathon, sadly, because soon after the pandemic followed. But we noticed that there were at least two teams that developed some kind of quantum games, and we were interested in the concept due to James Wooten's wonderful work. And later, in 2020, we organized another hackathon called Quantum Technologies Hackathon, or KT Hack 2020. And one of the winning teams was a team that developed this game called QT. And the interesting thing for us was that previously, when we were thinking about organizing a quantum gaming hackathon, we were focused on the difficulty of finding people that has all the skills, like they need to know a little amount of quantum physics or quantum mechanics. They need to know they need to know game development. They need to know some artwork development. And we thought that finding all those skills at one person or a team would be difficult. So we didn't want to organize a quantum gaming hackathon. But after this experience, we noticed that what you can do is you can help people with different skills. Like one person knows quantum mechanics, another person knows game development, another person has this great 3D art or certain asset development skills. And if you can help them form teams, then the resulting games are actually much better. And you can actually find people that would be willing to be part of such a team. So that is the main idea behind the Koyun hackathon. And we also tried to help people who were interested but a little bit scared, because for a regular game developer, when you say you will be developing a quantum game, they get a little bit intimidated. So we organized an event called Let's Talk Quantum Games, and it was 2 days. The first day was in English and the second day was in Turkish, and we tried to convey them the message that quantum games are not that difficult, and if they are willing to put the effort, they can develop their own quantum games. And it was kind of a successful event. We had several games developed in that hackathon. I think it was like 8 games. And if I remember it correctly, 2 of them are published. I think one of them is in Apple Play Store, and the other one is in Android, but I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. But one of the things we learned from this experience was that actually, if you help people form their teams and you can motivate them, they will definitely develop quantum games. These games may not be that polished as from a game development standard, but they can definitely be characterized as quantum games. And to motivate them, we actually offered monetary prizes thanks to our sponsor, and it was a successful effort. And for the following year, like this year, Coin 2021 was organized, and again we had 2 days. First day is in English, the second day is in Turkish. You can also find the recordings of these talks on our YouTube channel. And this year, again, this was online. Like as I said, our only on-site event was the first one. And sadly, due to pandemic, all the ones that followed were online events. And for this year's event, the games were even more polished. And one of the jury members said that each hackathon, the games are getting better and better. This is actually something we want, because we know that, as Daria's previous presentation showed, you need to do this year after year. It needs to be a consecutive effort for a community to form, for people to gain experience, for people to see what is happening, what can be done, what hasn't been done. And in that sense, I think I mean, we are planning to organize another one next year, and the next one will be even better. And I stopped sharing. We can continue with Q&A. And yeah.
Thank you very much, Zeki. A question will be, do you consider that a hackathon is easier or more complicated when it is carried out remotely than when it is carried out physically?
Great question, thanks. I think it is more difficult in a sense that, in a motivational sense, you need to motivate people to commit to this hackathon. And even if you are offering monetary prizes, it is sometimes difficult. But for an on-site hackathon, it is much easier. People are more committed, and in that sense, it is more difficult to motivate people. But in logistics sense, it is much easier. I mean, the first hackathon that we organized, just the food was an issue, that people had to stay there overnight, and it was cold, and there were many problems. But for online hackathons, I think they should stay. Like, we shouldn't just go back to on-site events. We should keep doing these online hackathons, but also we can do certain on-site events as well, because both in terms of logistics and cost, online events are much easier to do.
That's right. Also, more people can participate from different parts of the world, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What is
I see a question. Yeah.
Okay. What's the difference in a hackathon and a jam? Sorry.
We discussed this a lot in our pilot as well. So as far as I can see, they are very similar things, but game jams are more, let's say, mellow, they are more freestyle, they are less of a competition. So in a hackathon, there are certainly competitive elements, like you are offering monetary prizes, you have a jury. I mean, I know that in quantum game jams you also have a jury, but as far as I can think of, hackathons are more competitive, they are more output oriented, and quantum game jams are more experience oriented. So it is more about the experience that you gain in that game jam, the experience that you feel in that game jam is more have more priority over the actual game that you developed. But for an hackathon, I think the game that you develop or the solutions that you produce while you are developing that game is important. Hope that this was a decent answer to the person that asked.
Yeah. Another question would be, what tools do you consider to be essential to know in order to participate in a hackathon or jam?
As I said, it depends because, for example, for the last two hackathons that we organized, there were people who had no idea about game development. They only knew like quantum physics, quantum technologies, and they acted as the consultant of their team on, what can be described as the quantum matters, like whether this is correct in terms of quantum physics, because people develop, when you say quantum games, like when you talk about entanglement, people develop these let's say interesting I don't know, they don't utilize the concepts in a proper manner. I mean, of course you can flex them a little bit, but I mean, we prefer that people do not think entanglement as something faster than light. We do not prefer that people think that it is, synchronous, like one thing happens here and exactly the same thing happens at the other node and things like that. And in that sense, I think people that have knowledge in quantum physics or quantum technologies or quantum mechanics, but no experience in no experience in game development, can still participate and help their teams, and vice versa. If people have game development skills, they don't need to know quantum physics to participate in these game jams. And we had feedback from participants that say that, oh, I had no idea about quantum physics previous to this event, and now I'm interested. I mean, of course, we know that people will not be developing quantum games professionally after these events, but still, it is good to see that at least some game development people get.
We cannot hear you anymore, Zeki.
Can you hear me right now?
Right now, yes.
Okay, so what was the last thing that I said?
You were mentioning that the people that participate in these events don't develop games professionally.
Oh, okay, so yeah, I was talking about that, and so my internet connection is kind of unstable right now. So
All right, that's awesome. I see no more questions.
great. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
I had one last story. Maybe this was more for Daria, but how do you think that people could get more interested in continuing the games after the game jam or the hackathon?
I think I should answer because Daria is not here. It is a very good question. So for the previous hackathon, we tried incentivizing people in a way that if you publish your game, we will cover the publishing cost, and no one took that option. So it is not a problem of money. I think so for the last hackathon, one of the so we had two winners, two first prizes, and one of the teams of the first prize told me that yeah, we would be interested in developing these games, but these games, we suspect that these games would not have that much of an audience. So on a financial scale, people do not see, or at least game developers do not see quantum games as viable alternatives to their usual game development let's say activities. And in that sense, we discussed this at a panel earlier, and we suspect that there should be an example, like there should be a game, a quantum game that actually makes money, so that game developers can take this seriously, because right now they see this as just a science game or an educational game, or something that is nice, something that is interesting, but not worth their while professionally. I mean, they can do this as a hobby project. There are many examples of that. You and I know that, but on a professional level, I think they need a decent example to commit their time and even their money into this.
Okay, thank you.